Good day everyone. So welcome back. So today not much happening. It's becoming normal again. So everybody is busy preparing for Mahalakshmi Yagna, which will be the next weekend. I guess so. So Jagopal will ask your question.
Guruji, for a devotee in Bhakti Marga, is the goal to reach Vaikuntha, or if one's ishtadev is a deity other than Narayana, to reach their respective abode? For example, Goloka Vrindavan for someone whose ishtadev is Radha-Krishna, or Kailash for someone whose ishtadev is Shiva.
Look, one thing is one have to make it clear. Wherever you will go, it's not in your intention whether you will reach there or not. You know, by putting that deep inside your mind, yes, you want to go to the different lokas, you know, that is not in your hand where you're going. The most important thing here, you know, is your service, what you render to the deity. Knowing that you are serving the same Lord Himself. That should be one aim. Where you will be afterwards is none of your concern. You know, you have to do it here itself, whatever you are doing. So bearing that in mind, that you know, whatever you are doing here in this world is to get rid of your karma. That will allow you to be where you have to be. So what will make you really get rid of all these karmic things is that service to the Lord itself. No? Without serving Him, without worshipping Him, you know, we have to bear in mind that it is the same Supreme Lord that we are worshipping in all these forms. You know, whether even when we're talking about Goloka Vrindavan and other spheres, they are all a domain in Vaikuntha itself. So here Bhagavan said, you know, that it is, you have to build your relationship with me. It's not about comparing where somebody else is going. You know, what would that be? You know, so you will spend your time in comparing yourself. Where would you be after death? When would you start loving and building your relationship with God? So it's not about that. You know, so firstly, remove that from your mind itself. Now, Bhagavan in Bhagavad, Canto 11, chapter 14, verse 25, he said that just like gold being molted while going through the fire lose all impurity and attain back to its pure state. But those who worship me, you know, with devotion, you know, they attain me through loving service. This is the most important thing. When you look at this verse, you know, Bhagavan said, first what you have to do, whatever you are doing, it's a state of purifying yourself. You know, getting rid of all karma firstly. But beyond that, the changing of your mind is very important. Because what the use of worshipping, yet your mind is still, you know, fully absorbed into the world itself. You know, what the use of thinking that you will go to heaven because you are a devotee or not, you know, then still that love is not yet for everybody. You don't see that the divine in everyone. So, you know, in the Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha, I think so, there's a beautiful story, you know, of a devotee of Lord Shiva. So this landlord was worshipping, you know, Lord Shiva with earnest longing, you know. And one day he felt sick. And he asked his son to go and call the priests And the priest, he was a worshipper of Lord Nrsimhadev. So the priests refused, say, no, I worship Lord Nrsimhadev, but I can't worship Lord Shiva, because, in the mind of very often people, especially Vaishnavas, they have that notion that Lord Shiva is a lesser deity, but because it's Lord Shiva is the presiding deity over the Lord of ignorance. So if somebody worship it, one will become ignorant. They don't see that Lord Shiva destroyed that ignorance inside of one who worship him. So having that in mind, the priests refuse to come. And the landlord the son of the landlord forced him to come, said, if you don't come, I will kill you right now. So out of fear he came, and then here he was in front of, in that temple, and in front of a Shivaling. So he was wondering, how can I worship Lord Shiva? I don't know any prayer to Lord Shiva. So what he did, he started to chant all the prayer that he knows of Lord Nrsimhadev inside of his mind. He see Lord Nrsimhadev in the Shivaling, and he started worshipping, chanting Lord Nrsimhadev mantra. So when the landlord heard that, he called his son, and the son became very angry and took his sword and was running to kill the poor priest. And as he approached, out of the Shivaling itself, Lord Nrsimhadev manifest himself and kill the sun itself. You see, so the priests have that realization at that moment that everything is presided by the same Supreme Lord himself. So like that, those whose mind is fully absorbed in that continuous remembrance of Bhagwan himself, it doesn't matter that whoever is your ishtadev, it's not that you have to concentrate on your onto your destination. You should concentrate on your relationship with him. The destination, he will hold your hand and guide you there. And that is not also in your hand. I'm laughing here because very often we think that yes, this is all in our hand. We have full control of everything here, but we forget that you don't even have control on a toothache. When your tooth is paining, you don't have any control over that. You go crazy over it, and then you have to rush quickly to the dentist. So if you don't have control over a toothache, how would you have control where you are going in the spiritual realm? Where would you know what is your destination will be? So that's why chapter 11, Bhagavan Krishna said, chapter 11, verse 10, he said, Prakriti, I am the Lord of Prakriti. Prakriti revolves under my direction. Moving and unmoving things is created. And this is how the world revolves itself. So when we see that everything, it is under his direction. And of course, he has placed himself within the core of your heart, The Atma, it is a parcel of himself inside. Without that parcel of himself inside, without that grace of the Atma itself, there will be no manifestation of anything. Even the moment the Atma leaves the body, what happened to this body? It fell dead, nothing, there's no life. So everything inside of this body itself, but what gives life to this body is the Atma itself. Without that, it don't happen. Through his grace and will, that Atma make all the senses active. Your eyes see, your nose smell, your mouth can speak and taste, your hand move and everything else. Your mind start to think, your intellect act also. But without the presence of the Atma, it is not possible. You will be a dead body itself. So you see, through the presence of the divine within each one itself, so he shows that the absence of that, nothing exists. The absence of that, everything is dead. So absence of the self, absence of his essence, nothing will exist. So your aim is to discover that, which is inside of you, and really by worshipping him in Bhagavad, like it is said, by worshipping him, your karma is being cleansed. Endless karmas, of endless lives. That's why worship is very important, but just not a superficial worship. He said when he's talking about worship, he's talking about worship in everything, in every aspect, knowing that it is him, no matter what you do. You see, worship is also do your duty in life itself. If you are in a grihastha, do your duty as grihastha, and he will come to you in wherever you are. And this is why he sent you here in this world. And if you recognize that reality, if you become aware of that whatever you're doing, he's with you. It's not about where you will be afterwards. It's about enjoying him here, because bliss you can't enjoy afterwards. You can only enjoy it here. In this, when you have life in this body, if you want, what you have to do, you attain to that state of bliss, a state where you can feel him at all time. That is not afterwards. It is now, here, in this physical body. As long as you don't attain to that blissful state, you will keep coming. Forget about Vaikuntha, Goloka, or anywhere else, And this is not in you will attain to their place, it is their place, you will enter their house only when they want. It's like when you go to somebody's house, if that person don't want to open the door for you, do you think you will be able to enter the house? No, you will never be able to enter the house. So, but when somebody is ready, you will see that Bhagwan, he himself will leave the door open. He will put a big welcome to you. And this is, it doesn't matter where it will be. You will be where you have to be. But here what you have to more concern yourself is about purifying your mind, transforming your mind, and your loving service to his lotus feet. More than that is none of your concern where you will be.
Jai Gurudev, dear Guruji, the three gunas that are created by the Lord bind us to this world. Why did he create such a difficult trap for us, even though he yearns for us and we yearn for him?
Well, firstly, it's not him who, he creates everything. It is he who created the three gunas. But it is us who have bind ourselves into that three gunas, He created it, yes, but he didn't tell us to bind ourselves in it. This we did it happily. Because we are so, attracted to the beauty of this place, that we have made this place ours. And we forget the joy of Vaikuntha. We forget the joy being in that blissful state. The mind, forget about it, But the Atma, always remember it. But as long as you are attached to these, reality, you will be still in the clutch of Maya. And so that's why Bhagavan said in that verse of Bhagavad Gita, I just said, under my direction, everything, under my direction, she do everything. Maya catch everybody. So everybody is under this free mode of conduct, the Rajasic, Tamasic and Sattvic itself. So it's not that he created out of joy because he's thinking, okay, now I will want all this human being to suffer. No. We call the suffering upon ourselves because one have said, okay, look at the world itself, how people look for happiness. Do you think people, when we talk about spirituality, even on the spiritual path itself, do you think when I'm talking about spirituality, I'm talking about eternal bliss, I'm talking about the love of God, do you think anybody really know what it is? We like the concept of the name, I like prem, I like joy, I want eternal bliss, I want Vaikuntha, but in the mind it doesn't make any sense, For many people, they don't know what it is. They like the ideas of it. They like the word of it. But first, one must learn to purify oneself to attain to that. When one becomes humble, only one really have a taste of what is true love in itself. There's this beautiful story of Shankaracharya. One disciple wanted to take shelter to Shankaracharya. And he was very proud of himself, and he came to Shankaracharya, and Shankaracharya said, no, I don't want to have you as disciple. But that fellow was very determined, and he was very keen of taking shelter, he wanted Shankaracharya to accept him as his guru. So Shankaracharya said to him, listen, if you really want, you have to purify yourself. First go to Vraj. Go there and stay 1 year. What you have to do the parikrama of Govardhan every day. And only focus your mind on Giridhari. And you should not touch, you should not hear anything. You should not... you should just concentrate in your service to Krishna. And then he bowed down and he take leave of Shankaracharya, and he went to Raj, and that's what he will be doing. For 1 year he did this, only doing that. So as after 1 year he came back, as he was coming back, the Guru wanted to test him. And he called an old lady who was sweeping, and he said to the old lady, listen, I will give you 5 rupees. You go and sweep. You see this Pandit is coming. Go and sweep the floor in front of him. As much as you can make dust, but all the dust can come upon him. And the lady was thinking, oh my goodness, if I do that, the Pandit will be really angry. But look, 5 rupees at that time was a lot of money, and so okay, I'll do that. And she went there when the Pandit was passing by. She started sweeping, ching, 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 and all the dust fall upon the Pandit, and he became super angry with the lady, and the lady ran quickly, and he was chasing the lady, and the lady went into a small gully, small road, and disappeared. So Shankaracharya was looking at that, and he was laughing. So when the disciple came, bowed down, I said, please, would you accept me now as your disciple? I did what you told me to do. And he said, no, you're not yet ready. Go back again another year. So another year he went and did the same thing. Second time when he came, and when Shankaracharya saw him coming, he said, okay, he called again the same lady and said, you do the same thing. But this time you should make sure that your broom touch him. And I will give you 10 rupees. And the lady said, okay, 10 rupees, fine. So she made the plan in her mind, and she went and she broomed. The dust and the broom touched him, because you see, in the Hindu tradition, touching one person with a broom is a very irrespectful. So she touched the broom, and again, he tried to control himself, because first time Shankaracharya told him, you got angry. So this time he had this in mind, no, I will not get angry. But his face became very, he was very, how to say, he didn't act, but he was burning inside. So he went to Shankaracharya, bowed down, and Shankaracharya looked at him, smiled and said, no, you're not ready, still anger is inside of you. So go back again. But this fellow was very adamant about, really, he wanted to take shelter of Shankara. So then he went back again he did the sadhana again, go around Govardhan, and after a year he come back to Shankaracharya, called again the lady, and said to the lady, listen, I will give you this time 25 rupees. What you have to do, take all the garbage from your bin, pour it over the head of this Pandit. The lady said, okay, that was okay, one thing. Touching the person with the broom, okay, it could be a mistake. But now you have to ask me a lot, to take the whole bin and put it on him. But then she was thinking, but 25 rupees is a lot of money, so I can look after my family well. So she said, okay, I will do that. So the other Pandit was passing by. Shankara was looking. She saw she took the whole bin and poured it over the head of that Pandit. And this time, as she was ready to run, the Pandit just bowed down to her. And bowed down to her and said, don't run, mother. You are my first Guru. It is because of you that I have been purified and cleansed. So seeing that, Shankara called this man and said, now you are ready to be my disciple. He said, you're not devotee. There you now said, you are ready to be my disciple because you have learned humility. And where there is humility, that love is present. So without humility, one will not know what is love in itself. So seeing that through being humble, bow down to that lady, he was worthy of receiving that blessing to be the disciple. So like that also, it's, you have to do your duty and just purify yourself. The second part of the question was
why did he create such a difficult trap for us, even though he yearns and we
yes, it's not, he didn't create a difficult trap, Actually, in that trap itself, it is the beauty of everything, when you can recognize really that beauty. So throughout life, you have claimed that, yes, I want to be happy in this world, You think that this world will make you happy. You have said to yourself that you are happy. And Bhagavan said, okay, fine, you want to be happy in this world, then you will be revolving into that same chakra, that same round, then you can't be free. So who is freeing you? First you have to make the step of, willingly and sincerely, knowing that, yes, I will never be free truly into this world. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, that true happiness will never come. That divine bliss will awake only when I'm free from that delusion, and really when sincerely I'm dedicated into my service to the lotus feet of Guru and God. So that's why Guru come as a reminder also, to remind continuously that you are in that clutch of Maya, you are into these clutches. You must go out of that. And it's not that you can't go out. No, the moment you decide to go out, he will give you all help you need to go out. But you have to try your best, you have to not lose hope. You have to really persevere into your aim itself.
Guruji, some Vaishnavas state that the full darshan and relationship with the Lord can only happen when we leave this body and reach Vaikuntha. But in this time, is it possible to have the fullness of our relationship even in this physical body?
Yes, of course. You see, why I'm laughing on that, because how many saints have had this divine grace, in darshan of Bhagwan himself. It's not being dead, but you will thinking that then only I will have darshan of Bhagwan. No, many saints have had darshan of it. Many devotees have had darshan of Bhagwan, being in the physical body, being alive itself. There's this beautiful story of a saint called Napaji. So Napaji, he was born in Kosha village in Punjab, and for him, he was a grihastha. He was married, he has his wife, and he has his children, and he had this great longing. His service to the Lord is through his service to the saints and sages, who used to visit him. And when the sages and saints used to come to his place, they will just sing the glory of the Lord, and they will sing and dance, and he will have great joy in just serving them. So Napaji, this was his most important thing in his life, he came from a gardener caste. So you see, for his livelihood, he had to do gardening, and so as his heart was not in the gardening, his heart was to serve the saints and sadhus, So he started to neglect his farm. But that farm was also what feed him, and that what allowed him also to serve the sadhus and the saints. So one day he was at his farm, and he looked at his farm. His farm was like a jungle, it was dry also. And then at that moment he realized, how can I serve the sadhus and saints when I can't look after the garden? And looking at his farm, he was feeling sad because there was nothing, and everything was dry, and because he didn't give time to his duty itself. But you see, the divine Lord, which is Bhaktavatsala, who look after his devotee, really. At that moment, Lord Krishna came in disguise of his own son. So he came in disguise of Napaji's son. And he pulled him from behind and said, "Father, I know you are very concerned about the field, we don't have, things to eat, but your mind is more about serving, and the saints and the sadhus. Do one thing, I will look after the farm. You go and serve the saints and the sadhus." And he was very happy. So he left, and here Krishna in disguise will do all the chores of the farming. So he will farm, and the garden will flourish. So months goes like this, and the garden will be even more beautiful than it used to be. And it will have much more, the cultivation will be much more, the harvest will be much more. So one night, as Napa was walking, he saw his son sleeping in the house. And his mind was thinking, but okay, my son is sleeping, maybe he's tired from the farm. Let me go and water the farm, open the water. As he went there, he saw that his son was there. And he was super confused. He said, I just saw him sleeping in the house. How he's also in in the farm. So he rushed home. Again, he saw his son. At that moment, deep inside of him, there was this voice, this feeling which awake inside of him. That is the Lord himself who have come in the form of his son to help him. So he rushed quickly and he hold the hand of Krishna, and he said that, Lord, what are you doing? And of course, because Bhagwan have taken that aspect of his son, he said, Father, what are you saying? I'm doing the gardening. He said, no, you are not my son. I know that you are the Lord himself. You are Krishna himself, because you are serving me. I can't let you do that. But seeing that devotion of what his devotee have for him, he took back his true aspect and said, because of your service to the saints and the sadhus, I have come to give you darshan. You see, like that, many devotees of the Lord have darshan of him. And he comes sometimes unknowing to them and give them full darshan of him. But that he comes when there is love and devotion. That sincerity must be there. So he does come still. As long as love and devotion is there, he will always give darshan. It's not because of somebody who didn't have the darshan of Bhagwan. They said, but okay, no, you can't have his darshan in this physical form itself. No, many have it, and many will have it also. And that's what Bhagwan said. Those who, climb in the human form, those people don't recognize me. Of course, when you are fully absorbed in delusion, in ignorance, when your pride, even when I'm talking about pride, I'm talking about also spiritual pride, because devotees also sometimes have spiritual pride that jump into their mind, thinking that they are too great and too important. Of course, then they become blind by that also. So as long as these ignorance are into the mind, as long as one don't recognize the grace of God, being firstly in this human body and being firstly in this world itself, recognize that everything is a blessing from him. So how would you recognize his form when he come in front of you? No, you will still be blind, you will never see him. Even if he come in front of you, you will, because in your mind you think that a certain aspect he must be. How would you recognize him? You will never recognize him. Because in your mind you have a certain ideas of how God have to be. So you have built a certain reality of God, like religion itself. Religion talk about God as if they know God personally. Then they give you a description of God, it's like this, like this, like this. No, God can take any kind of form he wants. And he can come and test. He can come and give darshan, however form he will. He's God. If when Arjun saw, the Vishwasvarupa, he didn't see only one aspect of Sriman Narayana. He saw a multitude. He saw Shiva, he saw Narsingadev, he saw every aspect of the divine inside his cosmic form. And this is that supreme Lord himself, Sriman Narayana himself, that he's not bound by any limitation. When we talk about God, God is not bound by any limitation. He's unlimited. His form is unlimited. His name is unlimited. And those who can truly recognize that, they will have darshan of him all the time. And also, Bhagavan, out of his mercy, have given the deity itself, as an aspect. Don't forget about that. But this is also, an aspect of himself. He have given the Holy Scriptures, this is also an aspect of himself. He have given Guru, this is also an aspect of himself. He have given the let's say, the saints, this is also an aspect of himself. You just need to recognize it, you know. So when the mind doesn't have any judgment, you know, you have that discrimination in the mind, yeah, but then there's no judgment upon that, then Bhagwan become visible also.
Dear Guruji, Jai Gurudev. In the Sri Sampradaya, it is very important for a devotee to worship and surrender to Sri Guru, Sriman Narayana and Sri Mahalakshmi. But my question is, how can I give myself in full surrender to three people at the same time?
Well, they are not three people in difference, you know, then they are only one person. Guru, Sriman Narayana, Mahalakshmi. You know, they are, you know, the concept of the Trinity, they are one. So there's no, you don't, when you're giving yourself to Guru itself, you're giving yourself to Sriman Narayana and Mahalakshmi. So it's not about giving one aspect only. So your worship, like I said, the worship, like, you know, few days ago I was saying, you know, in front of Guru, you worship the Lord. In front of the Lord, you worship the Guru. And this is how you see that there is no different. And Mahalakshmi, where Sriman Narayana is, Mahalakshmi is present there. You know, and where Mahalakshmi is, Sriman Narayana is present there. You know, so, and where Guru is, Lakshmi and Narayana, both is present there. So you see, being on the Vaishnava path, you know, you have the fullness of everything. So don't think that they are three individual personalities, you know. No, they are not three individual personalities. You know, we worship them, of course, you know, in different aspect outside. You know, of course, when you worship the Guru, you know, because of your limitation of who is the Guru, of course, then the worship is individual. You know, but then if you worship, then you have Narayana, you have Mahalakshmi, you have Ram, you have Krishna, you have Nrsimhadev, you know, but it's all one, you know. So there's no difference between them. Jai Gurudev.